my friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new to my channel, my name is Sarah McGuire from Sassy Paper Crafts. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I am so excited to show you today's card. So this one is kind of the basis of what we're making. I'm going to make this card though again without the die cuts. I've gotten a couple of requests to not use so many die cuts and do more of a simple stamping card. So that's what we're going to do today. And I'm going to be using the watercolored pencils from Stampin' Up. These come in two assortments. I do not have, full disclosure, do not have the brand new assortments, which include new colors like fresh freesia and pumpkin, or not pumpkin pie, pecan pie. But I have the older ones, and these are in the first assortment, assortment 1. So today's colors are what we're going to be using are Early Espresso, Melon Mambo, Daffodil Delight, Old Olive, and Real Red. And again, they are in the watercolor assortment number 1. Number 2 has Balmy Blue, Granny Apple Green, all kinds of fun colors. So we're also using the Happy Hedgehog stamp set, which is in the Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. This is a photopolymer stamp set with 9 photopolymer stamps. We're going to be using 5 of these stamps today. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how easy it is to use these watercolor pencils. So these are just like regular colored pencils, except when you use a water painter or even a paintbrush and water, they turn into like watercolor, and it makes it look like a watercolor painting. So the trick is when you're watercoloring, I'm going to get our big stamp out. This is the one here that we'll be using first. You want to use StazOn ink. So this one, this ink pad is 1,000 years old, but this is a permanent ink. So anything you use it on, it is going to be permanent. It's great for watercoloring. It doesn't get muddy. It doesn't move around. There is also a special cleaner for the StazOn ink. This is an all-purpose stamp cleaner, but it gets the StazOn off your stamp. Now this will stain your photopolymer stamps, which is normal. Photopolymer stamps do get stained when you use reds or like berry colors, purples, and StazOn. So I'm just inking up our tree here in StazOn, and this time I'm going to bring in our sample card. This time I'm going to stamp this tree over to the left because I'm going to use a different hedgehog, I think. So I'm going to stamp this tree about here. And that's a little bit, we're going to flip that over because that was a little bit, I didn't push down all the way. So we're going to flip that over. Cardstock has 2 sides. We're going to ink that up again, making sure to get that good and covered. Try it one more time. I'm lining it up with my grid paper. I'm going to push it down again. And I'm not pushing super hard. I'm just making sure I get even pressure so that flower comes out. There, that is much better. So I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to use a different hedgehog. I have this guy here ready to go. I'm going to use this one. I want him looking up at the tree. So I'm going to take this one off. I'm going to grab this guy. And this is on a C block. The last stamp was on an E block. Ink him up in StazOn. Make sure I get him real good, because I want all that detail of the hedgehog. We'll put him right down in the bottom right corner. I'm pushing not super hard, but just enough to make sure I get a good solid image. Then we're going to get our butterfly, and I'm going to show you how to clean the StazOn off of your stamps in just a moment. I'm going to ink up our butterfly. Make sure I get that nice and inky. Put that up here. And then our sentiment. And I'm just going to use StazOn because it's out. You could use your Memento or whatever black ink you have. My StazOn is out, so I'm just going to use that. And put our sentiment up here. Now to clean your stamps. Oh, we have one more thing to stamp. The inside of our card. So I have the little mushroom from the stamp set, this guy here. We're going to put that on the inside. And then we'll clean our stamps off. It's super easy. You just, the regular Stampin' Mist doesn't get all of the StazOn off your stamp. So you really want to get the StazOn cleaner if you're using StazOn ink. So what I do, and I don't know if this is right or wrong or whatever, but this is what I do. I take my cleaner, I just go over my stamp with the cleaner. I just let it sit a second. And then you can use a paper towel, you can use a microfiber cloth. I won't maybe recommend a paper towel because you could get lint on your stamps, which could get onto your future ink pads, your projects. I'm just going to use my Stampin' Scrub, and on the wet side, rub it, and then rub it on the dry side, and it cleans it pretty good. I've been doing it this way for years and years, and I've never had a problem. I do like to use kind of the corners of my scrub. It is kind of an oilier cleaner. I'm not sure if that's correct, but it feels different than the regular Stampin' Mist. So I just go in the corners, and then once a month I use just a little tiny bit of mild dish soap and warm water to wash my scrub. So there, all our stamps are clean. Now I will show you how easy it is to color with these watercolor pencils. So we're going to start with our big image here. And I'm going to go in with Early Espresso because we have a lot of Early Espresso to color. So the trick is you don't want to push super hard, and that's like a super dark line. You just kind of want to go lightly because it's a lot easier to make things darker than it is to lighten them up. And don't worry about coloring perfectly or staying in the lines or getting all of the white spots, because when we use the water painter, this is all going to blend out. So for the hedgehog, I am going to go push a little bit harder in the spine or the pickers, the quills. That's the word I'm looking for, quills. Than I am around like the face area, because I don't want him super dark. I don't want to take away from his face there. You can see I kind of did a little bit of shading there. And I like to turn my image. So I'm going darker here, and then I'm just going to very lightly color the rest of the body. And now you can see I'm not filling in all the white on this image because it will fill in when we use our water painter. I want to show you that. See, it's not perfect. It's fine. So then for our flowers, I'm going to go in with Daffodil Delight, and this is optional. I don't even think you can really tell all that much on the image, but I'm just filling in the middles of the flowers and then the body of the butterfly. I did do the body of the butterfly in this all pink. Oh, and also, whoops, the outside part of the butterfly, which again, optional. You can't even really tell. So if you don't have Daffodil Delight or don't want to use it, totally optional. Now I'm just going to color the butterfly body. Again, do not worry about getting it perfect, because the thing is too, is once we use the water painter, we're going to want some of these white spots. It's going to give a nice shaded effect. So I'm just kind of coloring the lines here. Some places I'm going a little pushing harder on the pencil. Other places I'm being very light with it. I want that variation in shade. I am by no means an artist, so I don't know if that's even the correct term. I just know I like to color. Coloring is my favorite. Okay, I think, oh, one more. I usually miss at least one leaf or flower, so don't be surprised. Now we're going to go in and color our leaves. Again, kind of doing different pressure. Some of it I'm going very, very light. Some of it I'm pushing harder to get a darker color. And then you'll be able to see the magic of the water painter. It's very cool, and it's a mess-free way to watercolor if you don't want to like smush your ink pads and use that to watercolor. This is very mess-free, and this is regular basic white. I don't think I mentioned that. You could use watercolor paper, or shimmery cardstock. I'm just using regular basic white. So I want to show you what that looks like. You see, haven't colored in everything. So now I'm just going to take my water painter and I'm just going to squeeze. So these come in a set of 3. This is the smallest tipped one. There's a medium tip and then a big bristle tip. This one is the smallest. I'm just going to squeeze just to make sure I get a little water. Sometimes I like to take my grid paper and get the excess off. We're going to start with the hedgehog. I'm going to do all the early espresso first. And you can see that color just moving around. It's so cool. I'm just going to color this guy. How cool is that? And I'm not pushing anymore. I'm not getting any extra water. I'm just using what's already on my water painter. And again, I'm going over his face, but not with a lot of water. And there's a little white sparkle in his eye. I don't want to get that. So, and look at the difference. Now he is perfectly watercolored. Love it. So now that I did the hedgehog, I'm going to go into the tree trunk here and the branches. And this is why you don't need to get every little speck of white out, because it's going to move around the color anyway. So I do have a paper towel over to the side, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe that off, and I'm going to squeeze a little bit more water to make sure I got all that early espresso off of there. And now we're going to go into our old olive. Just move that color around. Get a little more water on there. Sometimes I like to just take my paper towel and do that. So I'm going to do these leaves, and then we can move on to our flowers and our butterflies. All right, now that our leaves are done, I'm going to show you. You can see that I filled in all those white spots. So now we're going to go ahead and go over everything that is pink or yellow, because if you mix those two together, it's really not that big of a deal. I did on our sample card and it was fine. So I'm just going to go over everything all at once. So now our whole card has been watercolored, and just look at the detail in those flowers. Like, I just love the color variation. So I forgot to color the inside of our card. This one is super simple. So I have our mushroom there. I'm going to take the real red, and I'm just going to lightly go over the mushroom cap here. And again, I'm kind of pushing harder on these edges so I get more color there. And then we're going to take that early espresso and really lightly go underneath the mushroom. And then old olive for the grass down here. And the same thing that we did on all of the other elements of our watercolors, we're just going to take our water painter and we're just going to move that color around and cover up all the white spots and all the pencil marks. So it doesn't even look like a pencil anymore. It actually looks like paint once you're finished. So that's the inside. I'm going to clean this off. And now we can put our card together. If you do use a lot of water, or you get a little heavy-handed with the water, you might want to wait for your pieces to dry. I'm just going to go ahead and put them on my card base. And because this is a simple card, I just have a simple card base. This is Melon Mambo. It is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And our two inside pieces are 5 1/4 by 4. If you can't remember those measurements, they are all on my blog. I'm just gonna put a little bit of seal on the back of that, cover up our first oopsie right there, and then we can put our inside piece in. And then before we finish our card, I want to add some bling. So I have the Glossy Dots assortment. For this card, I used the Daffodil Delight dots. I'm going to go ahead and use my last 3 on this one. I just got a new pack of these, but I'm going to go ahead and use the Melon Mambo. Let's see, where do I want this one? Sometimes the paper piercer ends work and sometimes it doesn't. It depends on your embellishment. That looks good to me. So that is it for today's card. If you would like to see a list of all the products I use, click the link in the description of this video to head over to my blog. If you do decide to shop with me, use this code at checkout. You'll get freebies from me. You'll get the Bright and Beautiful card tutorial with every order, and orders over $50 this month get a sampler pack of the Gold Celebration Specialty Designer Series paper. So I hope you enjoyed this card today. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.